Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Men of Words podcast. Murph, Stocks, very, very grateful to have you here. We've just had an incredible conversation, boys. Who has joined us?
Shall I?
Yeah, you shall.
Yeah.
You shall.
We've had an OG of the Men of Words. We've
True.
had a repeat guest, someone that we had on 3.5 years ago, Muff.
True.
3.5 years ago. Time has absolutely flown by. So it was really nice to retrospect and to have a chat about some of the stuff that has happened in the time being. Mr. Dyson Heppel.
Ah, Dice.
Just an incredibly positive guy. So much insight on his leadership, hard times, whether footy or otherwise. Incredibly bubbly, positive, infectious. Like, I can't wipe the smile off my face. So,
Yeah.
really hope you enjoy the chat.
100%. I think so much to take from this one. And yeah, I think it was just a pleasure to be able to chat to him again. I know we've said we kind of bumped into him a few times in the last couple of years, and obviously, Stocks, you have your run-ins with him in different ways, shape or form. But yeah, just one of those people that is just a cup filler, and we're so stoked that he joined us again, Murph.
Tune in, check it out. Hope you enjoy this one.
This is the Men of Words podcast, where the little conversations can make the biggest differences.
Rolling.
Hell yeah. I did say to you
Yep.
in the car that I really needed to start this one off. Dice, great to have you back, mate. We're so excited that you're here joining us for another chat. I have had something on my chest for the last 3.5 years that I need to talk to you about. And
Okay.
I'm talking like therapy sessions. I'm talking the biggest or near miss, I'll say, in the history of the AFL. Paint a word picture for you. So,
Okay, let's go.
I'm in. You've
Yeah.
already hooked
okay. So our last chat, we were like right on the tail end of lockdowns and stuff happening in Melbourne. The AFL's moving up to Queensland.
Yeah.
Bubbles all happening, all the rest of it. You were going up. Did you have a foot injury or something?
did, yeah, yep,
foot
yep.
injury or something at that time. Yeah. So you were like, I'm going to have a couple of spare hours up my sleeve. Obviously, being up there in the bubble, I need to dust off the acoustic.
Yeah.
I'm going to play some guitar while I'm up there. Love that. I love anybody that's willing to pull the acoustic out and just like, and
Yes.
dust the thing off.
Yes.
Flying up there, obviously, you got in touch and you're like, hey, mate, I need a guitar case. Because I don't just want to throw it on the plane. It's going to end up in pieces.
I completely forgot about this, but yeah, go on.
Yeah. So that, no qualm. Guitar case for Dice, absolute legend. Of course, no sweat whatsoever. So you pop round and we're sort of like in this, that COVID stuff's kicking off. I'm like, Lucy's, my partner's working on the COVID ward at the Alfred at the hospital there. She's like, maybe just tell him to wait out front, don't pop in and you just take the case out to him. I'm like, yeah, cool, no worries. So instead of Dice ringing the front door bell at the start of the property, get a knock on the door because the gate was open and there's Dyson Heppel standing at the door. I'm like, oh, g'day, mate. Right, how's it going? Obviously, you being the charming, lovely gentleman that you are, popped your head in. G'day, I'm Dyson. Oh, hey, Dyson, I'm Lucy. Right. You guys have a chat for a few minutes. You're probably in there for 5 minutes max, let's say. Okay, I'm like, Dice, take this guitar case, enjoy the bubble as best you can, and just get the C, G, A minor, F changes crisp. Okay. 15 minutes after you leave, right? Lucy gets a call from her work. Hi, Lucy. Just to let you know, you've been on like 4 or 5 shifts this week with another one of the nurse colleagues, and they've just tested positive for COVID. You need to be in a hotel in 60 minutes in the city because you're officially getting locked down in quarantine for 14 days. Right. So that's like sends us into panic stations because we're like, we don't know what the fuck's going on. We don't know how bad COVID is.
Yes.
Lucy's all freaking out. Anyway, in the middle of her packing frantically to go to this hotel, she goes, oh my God, Dyson Heppel was here half an hour ago. And I was like, oh my God, yes, he was. And she's like, what if I have COVID? What if I've given COVID to Dyson Heppel? Dyson Heppel's about to jump on a plane up to the bubble into the COVID-free Queensland, and Dyson Heppel is going to test positive for COVID and he's going to shut down the whole fucking AFL because Lucy got it from work. And that shaped the next 2 weeks of our lives of just waiting for the news to break about this COVID outbreak in the bubble, and it's over.
Oh,
and then
mate.
that turned into, well, if they can't run the AFL up in Queensland in 2020, then they're going to lose all this money and then the AFL's done. That's it. The end of AFL as we know it. Crisis averted. Thank God. no COVID while you're up there, and more importantly, how's your guitar coming along?
Very good.
Because it better be
Well,
fucking amazing.
mate.
The amount of stress that causes.
True.
That was incredible.
I'm actually
that
stoked. I'm so stoked you never told me that at the time because
Well,
all the
this is
close
it.
contact stuff at that time,
I
blokes were
know.
going in to get a hot chook and missing 2 weeks from
This is
being
what I'm
with close
saying.
contact. So luckily, look, yeah, and on that, I still haven't had COVID, so we're sweet from
Oh,
that point,
mate,
which is
okay,
a win.
golden.
Touch wood.
Yeah.
And the guitar lessons, as soon as I got up to the hub, little Irving Mosquito, he loves his guitar, and so he flogged my guitar and took it for the entire period we're up there.
Didn't
So
even say it.
I never saw the guitar and didn't pick it up after that.
Yeah,
so
good.
I'm yet to learn any chord. But thanks for the case, brother. That was great.
Exactly. That's it. I'm glad
Got
the
it there
guitar
and
had a
back.
nice trip up. Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
my
very
God.
good.
That was
Very
honestly
good.
it, right? Because we were like, in that couple of hours afterwards, Lucy's like, you need to tell him. You need to tell him.
Nah,
I'm like, No way.
Hang on,
Like,
you didn't.
No, I didn't.
Oh,
tell
how's
you.
the guilty conscience?
This, bro? This is what I'm
Mate,
telling you.
perfect.
For
Amazing.
3 years.
Ah,
No, it would have been. Trust me, it would have been better off. Like,
Absolutely better.
Great.
the way they were
Absolutely.
with close
Yeah.
contacts
Yeah,
at
you
that
don't
time.
go
I
dumping that
know.
on me because then I feel pressure to tell someone that.
But you know what? It was her way of going,
That's
all right, you know
awesome.
what? I've done what I can do because I'm a fucking frontline hero. It's up to me to text Dyson and tell him. And I
true.
chose not to. So she's like,
Oh,
wash
yes.
my hands of that. You fucking ruined the AFL.
Very good. Oh, there you go.
Oh, my God.
Well, here we
Okay.
are.
And we all made it.
Yeah.
Thank God.
What an incredible start to a podcast.
Yeah, how you going?
That beats
Honestly.
that beats nearly every single surprise question we've had because I had no idea where that
I'm
was
amazed
going.
that was a question.
There was no question in that.
Yeah,
that, was,
true.
that was
Just
just
let him
That
run.
was therapizing.
Yeah.
That was me just like,
Get
getting
your
that.
shit off your chest. All right, we're good. We can start.
Yeah, exactly. All right, now we can record.
Yeah, we go.
Yeah, let's go.
Intro.
No,
No,
very
that's cool.
good.
Done.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'll just, you do the next few
You-
questions. I'm going to have a
you've-
drink.
You matched the colour of your
Yeah,
shirt.
I'm flustered after that.
That's great.
Good, yeah.
All right. Well, how about let's kind of look back
Bring
a
it
little
down
bit.
6 or 7 levels. Yeah.
Deep
thank
breaths.
you.
That's right. 2020. We were just chatting before we hit record. So April 2020 was when we spoke. As you just said, it was right before the AFL changed their game and went up to Queensland, which we've spoken to you about and
Had a blast.
and
True.
how hectic it was for you. Yeah. Lots changed in the nearly 4 years or 3.5 years since we've caught up. We've been in regular touch, which is pretty cool. And I think it's something that I would like to start by saying well done to you
Yeah.
because when we started this pod, we were like, how awesome it would be to sit down with these really amazing people and, just have a chat and let other people hear their stories and hopefully connect. But it also gave us a chance, which something we probably didn't think about initially. It gave us a chance to make connections with new people. And
Yeah.
I sent you a message yesterday about how cool it is being in our 30s and it's difficult to make new friends. But and the same to you, Liam, as well. But I want to say well done to you because it's allowed me to find new networks and find connections and friendships as well. So it's really cool that, looking 3.5 years down the track that we're still in touch. And it's been something we've mentioned a couple of times about getting back in here. And
Yeah.
it's really nice to be able to do it. It's a bit of not a full circle moment. It's not long enough to be a full, is it? Maybe.
Small
4 years.
circle, but full
call
circle.
It, yeah, semicircle. It's cool.
Fucking, the boys are leveled up too. In the studio from the couch in your living room to
Yeah.
Rolling it in,
exactly.
Yeah.
I
going
know.
bang. Love it, lads.
Yeah, come a long way. It's pretty interesting. And yeah, I feel like Dyso's been like a little incidental bump in a few times over the years. I remember rolling down with a bus full of tourists at Bushranger Bay. And I think
True
we
that.
just finished the walk.
That's all right.
And we were just like pulling out of the car park and I think, you and Kato was just jumped out going for a wander.
Michael Jemison?
What's one of them?
But you know what the best bit was?
I was like, who's this punter? He just what do you want? Here we go.
Oh, not this guy again.
Yeah, oh, shit.
Two was
Oh,
enough.
Yeah, exactly. But the best bit was I like always had international tourists, and I'm like, no one's gonna have any
no,
who
yeah.
this bloke is.
Yeah.
So I just had one guy,
World
from
famous
Brisbane.
guitarist.
Yeah, world famous guitarist.
True.
Had one guy from Brizzy who happened to be a Bomber supporter sitting in the front seat, and he's like, "That's fucking Dyson Heppel." And I was like, "I know Dyson Heppel, whatever, no big deal."
Oh, yes.
Absolute
Finally.
dunk. Yeah, exactly. Finally won one.
That's a win.
awesome.
But it is cool. And I think I would like to say thanks to you as well, because I know I maybe took advantage of knowing you for a little bit at the start, and I've reached out a few times for a couple of sneaky favours here and there. And in terms of one of the biggest ones for me to say thanks for was there was a little video I put together for my students at school during lockdown, and the kid, like the eyes and the smiles that I saw on the kids' faces when I was able to share the video, and you were one that sent through a little pump me up video to the kids. So it was really, really incredible. And thank you for
happy days.
keeping in touch, mate. It's been cool.
No, that's easy done from my end, guys. And it is cool. It's cool to be in a stocks it, like a position to be able to do things like that, where you can, lift someone's day or put a smile on a kid's face or whatever it may be. So, I get a lot of joy out of that as well. So happy days.
No, definitely. And it's a testament to you. I think, you've done a lot of work. We spoke the first time we did this about the fundraising you did to chop the locks, and, was it 320 odd thousand bucks for the bushfire release? So it's obviously something that's a core value in yourself is looking out and helping other people. Is it something that you try and do every day? Like, is it something that, or is it just like happy to do it when it comes, or do you go out of your way to help or make a kind gesture to somebody?
Yeah, it's a good call. I think I've sort of always been naturally inclined that way. And it's probably just through experience of doing little bits and pieces for people, the kickback that you get yourself. And I find the more you give, the more that you receive, just from feeling bloody great, and the more that you want to do it. So, it's moments like the, chopping the locks for the bushfires, and, the little bits and pieces that I do with charities and things like that. They're the things that you look back and you're sort of most proud of over the time, that and through footy has given me an avenue to be able to have that impact, and be able to, meet certain people that can allow you to be in a space and give you the opportunity to serve or to give or whatever it may be. And I'm just super grateful for those experiences. But I think now it's more like I do try and look for those little moments where I can try and lift someone's day, or even if it's just doing small things around the house for Kate or whatever it may be, that can try and help someone, small or big, whatever it may be. Yeah.
Do you find, this is an interesting one for me, because it's a bit of I think they call them lollipop moments. But when I was a junior, and I don't know about you growing up in Gippy either, but some of the best core memories I have involvements with an AFL player, and it was Adam Bentic for me. Yeah, I don't know if you remember who Adam Bentic is, but he played for Carlton maybe 20 games. Okay, and it was just gold for me. Yeah, but he wouldn't remember it. Yeah, sure. I feel I don't know if you had an experience like that when you were a kid as well.
No doubt. Yeah, no, I was a Bombers fan growing up as well, and we had back in the country, we hardly ever got players down there. Yeah, and then, I reckon we had a couple of Dons, got Mark McVeigh, Fletch, actually, Sean Wellman. These guys came out, Dean Solomon came to the school. We had a bit of a clinic, and, they were the moments I remember. Yeah. As soon as I got drafted, straight back to those moments, and I actually, Wally was my back coach. Played with Fletch, played with Spike McVeigh. Yeah. So it was a classic when I was 10 back then. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It just remains these guys remain superheroes. My best one was with Cade Simpson, who was a superstar. But I feel you start playing with him and you can't have the conversation you signed my footy.
Yeah, legit. True that. But
it is feel funny. Like a dinosaur as well.
It's funny now though.
Simone was a dinosaur.
Yeah. Well, mate, I feel like that now because kids are born in 2005 that we're playing with now, and it's some of them were come up to you and go, mate, I've played on a couple of guys last year where they come and mate, loved watching you growing up as a kid. I'm it puts a bit of realisation. I'm old as fuck now, but at the same time, it's so sick. You love hearing that. Yeah, I'm just that's unreal, man. And you follow their careers with interest and stuff.
Yeah, it actually scares. I got that from a draft, because the draft is yesterday and the day before. Yeah, I got that from one of the boys was saying, I watched you play under 18s, and I was like, holy crap. Yeah, I'm no longer 2 years out from being drafted. I'm getting old.
Mature.
Oh dear.
I think I like the lollipop concept. I think you've mentioned that in the past on here. I think maybe in your chat.
Probably for me though, I don't know for you as well, but for my mental health, feeling like it's a bit of a feeling and control thing for me, where the more often I'm thinking outside of myself and the more often I'm thinking about doing something for other people, the more in control of my emotions or what have you I feel, which is strange to think of it as like I'm not really doing it for someone else.
No,
Kinda
but
get-
it
bringing
can be
yeah.
both things.
Giving joy
right?
brings
Like,
joy.
yeah,
right?
I
It's
definitely
yeah.
get what you're saying. It is funny how it can, but it can just completely shift your state. Like
Yeah,
a
exactly.
simple message or whatever it may be. Like even like we were talking about, I cut my leg the other day, got it stitched up, and I was in a shitty mood because I was like, you're missing a few sessions, whatever. You just want to be healthy.
Yeah.
And anyway, I just quickly shifted that. I was like, righto, message the doc straight away, say, mate, so grateful to have you on hand at the club. Nailed the stitches, lighthearted chat, felt great, feels good, happy days. And like he was really appreciative of the message and just made me feel a bit better for the gratitude that he's there doing his job. But, made it all the better for it.
It's probably not saying he'd get
no, that's it. It's
often
like-
either as well. Like, taking a second out of your day to recognise someone's
Yeah.
hard work.
for sure. You don't, and
That's
you
awesome.
don't often, sometimes you don't realize how far that can go.
Yeah.
As anyone, message you, and it's like you don't often know what people are going through, what they're thinking about, what's happened in their life, and a simple message, and it doesn't have to be much at all, can just seriously shift their entire state. And then that might carry on and lead to something else to make their day completely change.
Yeah.
particularly in footy as well, because everything's at the tip of your fingers. Like you've got 2 docs on hand at all times, like 3, 4 physios, myotherapist, all this kind of stuff. It's pretty easy to just go, well, they're here to help me.
Yeah.
Yeah, true
Not
that.
much
Yeah.
Come see me. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
interesting.
It's an incredible power, and I think for you as well, being a leader at a football club as well, learning how to harness that and sort of stuff we'll get into a bit later that I wanted to ask a few
Nice.
questions about, but like particularly understanding the kind of value you hold to people when you just have a conversation with them.
Yeah.
It's such a powerful thing to be able to harness sometimes, because you can, like, never mind me changing someone's day, like a leader or someone that everyone looks up to, changing someone's day, it doesn't just change their day, it changes their week.
True.
And
Yeah,
they
it
look
has
back on it really fondly.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're spot on. Spot on.
I think I don't think there's anything wrong with being aware that that's something you can use as a tool to kind of like G yourself up as well.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's just like an amazing added benefit for it as well, And if it's just a matter of, if it is that little bit of kindness that you give out and you kind of reciprocate that in yourself, awesome. Like how good to have that as a resource, And even like you said, I guess that sort of self-awareness, like when you said on the back of feeling a bit shitty about the stitches and whatnot, being able to kind of pull the handbrake on that, ill thought and those frustrating feelings and go, okay, what do I know that I can do that's going to kind of snap me out of that?
Yeah.
And that's cool that you've got that.
Well,
And I know we sort of dove into, what you've got in your toolkit last time around in terms of, I guess like around footy mostly, in terms of talking about like the different anchors that you had. And still I remember after talking, seeing the blue towel wrapped around the neck and the cold water and stuff, you kind of went into that and explained that in such great detail. It was really awesome. And maybe as a place to sort of jump back in, over the last couple of years, you obviously growing as a person, growing as a player, anything that you can sort of pinpoint as, maybe some differences or maybe little changes you see within yourself, or anything that you've kind of wrapped your head around in recent times that you're finding a lot of benefit with?
funny is like this conversation, I reckon, is timing perfectly. Like I feel like I've made this transition from having these, everything was tied into footy. Everything was trying to get the most out of performance and as best player I could be, the best leader I could be. And I feel like everything I've learned through that period and the work that I've done, a lot of it was inner work on myself and being able to be present during games and whatever. I feel like now there's been a big transition to now just life.
Yeah.
Like that's the way of being. That's the way how I want to be, not just on the field. And it's really starting to resonate. All the stuff that I'm reading, I'm learning. The guys here that do a lot of content with Danny Kennedy, I catch up with him quite regularly and he'd be a great one to get on the show. But DK is all about mindset and doing the internal work to sort of raise your vibration and just being in a bloody good space and have fun and find the joy in the small everyday things. And as you say, put more things in your toolkit to be able to have the awareness of when those negative or ruminating thoughts come in, you're able to grab them really quickly and sort of just have that awareness and acceptance that they're there, and then just let them pass on by. And, you know, it's not an easy thing to do, but it's starting to really resonate pretty much over the last couple of months, really.
Yeah.
That it's really sinking in that it's like, okay, this is just a way of being. And then you find when you are in that state of, you know, your thoughts, your feelings, and how you're acting, that's the way that you're being, and that gets reflected back in conversations, in whatever you're doing, you know. So, I've really enjoyed right throughout my career all about growth and trying to get as much as I can, primarily out of footy. But now it's sort of flowing into just how much, you know, how good can my days get? How much fun can I have just in life in general?
Yeah.
Is there was there a shift maybe? I mean, like you stepped down from a formal leadership position last year, I think it was, or the end of last year. And do you think leadership, you listen to the guru speak like Ben Crowe, and he says, you know, leadership is not about you, it's about everyone else, and allowing them to get the best out of themselves rather than you getting the best out of yourself to show them that you're leading the way.
Yeah.
Do you think stepping away from that sort of leadership role, even though you're still obviously going to be a key pillar of leadership within the club, did that allow you, do you reckon that's where the time or the shift in processing for you came about? Like it was all of a sudden not about everyone else. It was about, okay, now I can have a look at myself. And do you think there's anything in that? Or
Yeah, look, it correlates with the timing of it all. But I think, you know, handing over the captaincy at the time, until I announced that decision, and super grateful to Scotty and the club to empower me to make that decision. And I was really confident that Zachy was ready to go, like he's chomping at the bit for the role. And I was so stoked that he was. And then once I made that call, I probably didn't realise the subconscious weight that I was carrying with the captaincy. You know, 2022 was a challenging season, you know, and we had sort of punters coming from left, right, and centre trying to, you know, throw heat at you from the media side of things, and you know, you get a coach that's moving on again, and you know that's happened time and time again throughout my career, and you know, there was a lot of weight and a heaviness towards the back end of that season. And it was just an awesome, you know, moment for me to be able to hand over the captaincy, and just felt this weight off the shoulders. And then a lot of my focus just really turned to how much fun I can have with my footy. Therefore, I was probably just lighter and more energetic around the club. Body felt great. And I reckon connected and built stronger relationships with the boys from that. And in turn, you're probably a better leader from it, because I don't lose everything that I'd sort of learned from there as well. So trying to carry that forward still, Yeah,
I like it. Nice answer. I think it's interesting, the weight off your shoulders thing. You know, you hear about, or even as a kid when I dreamt of playing AFL, it was like, you know, when someone said, "What do you want to be?" You're like, "I want to play AFL. I want to be a captain of the club. I want to win a flag, win a Brownlow, blah 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 blah." But to hear the perspective then of, you know, you got to live that dream of a lot of kids of being a captain of an AFL team and a massive club at that, and then to let go and then feel that weight off your shoulders. It's an interesting concept that maybe I haven't heard. I don't think I would have heard of someone mention that in that sphere, in that world.
True. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, I had no doubt it was the biggest honour ever. And I absolutely loved my time as a skipper and learnt so much. And, you know, leadership, and then product, it's always developing and growing and evolving. But, I think the timing was just really good. I just felt good about the decision to roll it on. It's a new era at the club under a new coach, new leadership, and Zachy did an amazing job in his first year, and I'm stoked to still be here to help him wherever need be, you know. So, yeah.
I guess, like, you know, been hearing this like sort of saying come up in just different places over the last few weeks about talking about how two things can be true at the same time. And it's, I guess, this situation that you're talking about in terms of the honour that the captaincy was, but then obviously the weight that it was, and that like the struggle at times and the hardship that it can be. And there probably is this outside expectation from, like, you know, the punters, like you said, that being the captain is the ultimate honour, and like you have no other choice but to be 100% grateful at all times for this honour, and like, you know, you're welcome for it being bestowed upon you, and you better enjoy it and not say one ill thing about it or have one ill feeling towards it. But Yeah, I mean, I think both things can be true. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that
Yep.
seems like this sort of thing.
That's it. Yeah. And you need when things are going well, happy days.
Yeah.
You know, you're performing well. The team's performing well. Everyone's right behind you. And especially it's such a big club with an amazing supporter base,
Yeah.
but they just want to see success too. And if you're not performing,
yeah.
the team's not performing, it can be a bloody tough job. So,
that's it.
but yeah, that's where all that internal, that inner work, it comes into play. You know, being able to just have the acceptance of all that's going to be there, no doubt. And also not wrapping your identity in Dyson, the footballer or the captain or whatever it may
Exactly.
be. And doing all that work to make sure that it doesn't unravel and get you in a space that's, can be really detrimental to your career and, your life. Yeah.
I find like we touch on identity a lot, particularly on our pod, but I find it really interesting to ask, particularly people like you who I think being in a big Melbourne club can sometimes change your perception of the industry you're in, but can also change the way you develop and your identity and how you see yourself across a career.
Yeah.
Like, how much do you think your identity has changed being where you are? Or what was Dyson like when he got drafted and maybe what you thought you'd develop into versus what you are now?
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's been a real transition period right throughout. Like, you get drafted at 18, you just want to crack in and be the best player you can possibly be. I was and first year came in under James Hird, was idolised him, loved Hirdy, and he was huge for my career. He's like, righto, even as a leader, he's like, mate, there's no waiting. You come in, you lead from the front. It's like, bang, you're on. And gave me an opportunity round one my first year, played the whole year, didn't miss a game. Like, he gave me so much opportunity early stages of my career, and I was all about, but it was all about me. I was like, I'm going here. Let's go, just get the best out of myself. And then it soon rolls on to, soon shifts you, a few years into, righto, how can I develop my teammates, becoming a leader? You still want to achieve the most out of yourself as you possibly can. Soon it transitions to the captaincy it's all about, let's go. I want success with the team, developing the teammates, all of that kind of stuff. And now in a period where it's like, yes, I really want to win a premiership, but it's like, at the end of the day, I'll have no hole in my whatever it is if I don't. I'm striving for that as much as I possibly can with the boys, but it was all about, if I don't win a flag. When I was younger, I was like, what's the point of a career? I had this weird concept with it all, and it's because that's what, I looked at the great players, they're all winning flags, and it's like, even the club in itself with 16 premierships, all that kind of stuff, you just want to live up to all that expectation. And then, you soon realise that it's like, yes, absolutely, that is what you are striving for, hands down, and still will continue to do that. But the most joy and pride that I get through footy is that developing my teammates, having just awesome relationships, the people I meet through the broader circles of the footy club, interacting with fans. I've met some unbelievable little legends that I just love getting around, and when they're all at the club and come to training and things like that. And yeah, they're the things that I will remember when my time's done. And that's that identity piece of like, it's like not all about the achievements, the accolades and whatever. It's just more that, the relationships and the joy you get from that kind of stuff.
You can kind of you can hear the passion you have for footy in your voice. And something really interesting about your story and probably 25 other blokes is that 2017 saga. And I'm relatively close to Brent Stanton, and having spoken to him a little bit about it, it tested some players' passion for what they were in.
Yes.
I'd be really keen to get an understanding of whether you lost your love for it. And I think for anyone, losing your love for your hobby is weird.
Yeah.
Because you've got to find something else. But sometimes it doesn't come as easily. And when you've got a set period of time out, I know Joe went over to New York and stuff like that, but for you, did you lose the passion? And if so, did you find something else in the meantime? Or how did you develop through that year where you sort of had everything taken away?
Yeah, true. Yeah, 2016 was the year we had off. Yeah, that was it definitely did at the time dampen my whole perspective on footy and the industry. And it was a bloody challenging period. But I think the only thing I could hang on to was I was still really young in my career, 23 maybe. maybe whatever I was. But yeah, still young, had a long career ahead of me where guys, that was the end of their career. Guys finished up after getting banned and having a year off and they were done. You know, it's like, how's their perception on footy? So mine, I don't know, I had this vivid sort of like I'm okay here. I just worry. I was just really concerned for a number of my teammates that took it really, really hard throughout that period. And no doubt I went through times where it was just a complete shit show. But the things that I did learn was absolutely mental resolve and the resilience from it all. And that's where I reckon I really ramped up the inner work and just like the whole identity piece on footy. And there is far more to life than this, you know. But man, in the end, I got a European summer. I visited family in Holland. We visited Kate's family in Ireland. I had some unbelievable experiences throughout that year that I would have never got if it never went down. So I look back and I can't say fond memories of the saga, but of that year in itself, I had an unbelievable year.
Yeah.
No doubt. Really enjoyed myself. And what I did, when I did come back, took over the captaincy 2017, and I don't reckon I've had more fun in a game of footy, that first game back. Yeah. Round 1 against Hawthorn, Jared Roughhead, who was a real idol of mine from Leongatha, you know, one of the first ones to make it into the AFL that was close to my circles, and just like idolised him. He took over the captaincy at Hawthorn, and we had this moment pre-game, and he obviously knew everything that had gone on, and just like, it was just unbelievable, you know, 90,000 at the G. Probably played the game of my life. I can't kick over 50. I was kicking goals from 55. It's unbelievable. And, you know, it was just like one of those. And I just had so much gratitude, love, and just fun, you know, and fondness for the game itself again. And that was so good to get back, you know, that feeling again of just like, yeah, this is why I play, you know. Yeah.
I remember you saying during our first chat about like the heckling across the street and like fans taking pot shots at you.
Yeah.
On a personal level and like
true.
That sort of stuff. I remember you saying like, and it probably links to that passion of the game and the hobby. That's, for me, sounds like a time where you just be like, you know what, fuck this.
Yeah,
I don't need this in my life. And I think, did you say they were having a crack at your family and Kate as well? And you know, there's lines in probably like criticism you'd expect to cop.
Yeah.
From that, just being involved in that, but. That sort of stuff, that personal level and the lines that were crossed, that for me, I feel like that would be the, I don't need this.
I mean, it's pretty clear these days that there's no line.
Yeah, this is true.
Dead set.
It's probably far more common than you think it is.
Yeah.
I know.
I've
particularly
seen my cop it.
the saga, I think things got quite ugly, but that in my recent memory anyway, I think I was like 17, 18 when that was going on. That was my first real memory of like individuals getting real ugly with what they were saying, and probably journos crossing the line.
True, yeah,
as well.
100%.
Like that was the first time any of them really, you know, overstepped their bounds on what you could report on, how much truth was in stuff, and actually like they were talking a fair bit of dribble at times. Like if you go back and look at some of that shit, sensational crap that didn't happen.
The world kind of took a turn in that direction in 2016, though, to be honest. Like it was a bit of a downhill spiral on the back of maybe one American election that kind of lit that fucking tinderbox.
But I think like journalism as a whole in footy has sort of, I think it took a dip from there. And I reckon it's been a bit in between spaces since then where there's not enough people calling out people for getting shit wrong. And if people do get shit wrong, it's just like, hand up. Sorry.
Yeah.
Whoopsie.
Whoops.
Yeah.
True.
The
It was a
damage.
funny one, that. It was like, because they'd protect themselves through the wording and allegedly and all this kind of shit that they'd get away with. So it was all like, oh, well, this is what we heard, so it was fine. So it's like, we were fuming at the time. We actually got a number of the crew from the Herald Sun, The Age, and that out to the club, and they, to their credit, they rocked up and they answered every question we had, but it was pretty hostile at times.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But anyway, as you say though, some of the vicious attacks on, you know, Kate, family, mum walking through the supermarket back in Leongatha, you know, cop and comment. And you're just like, fuck me. Any danger here. And and got to see the real side of Kate there too, where she's just throw that much heat back at me. She's got
good to have that in your back pocket.
Get the notebook out.
Yeah, you handle this stuff. Go.
Just got to get the groceries in. That's cool.
But I mean, all of that really points to that mindset that you're talking about, and like being able to kind of rise above that stuff, being able to just step back from it and look at the bigger picture and I guess zoom out on life as a whole and take a whole bunch of positives out of what was obviously a super negative situation. And so and you're saying like that's at the start of that work that you were doing. That's when you started sort of working on
exactly. And I'm always like look back on circumstances in my life, and I'm like I always have a view that life happens for you, not to you. You know, the things that I learned right throughout that period and from there on in, I may not be in this position right now if I never did that. You know, I'm always trying to look at the optimistic side of things and whatever challenges I face, and there's always good to come out of it. That's just something that's always been innate in me, but I have definitely found that more and more that I hold that view that it just comes to life. Yeah.
I love that.
So what do you do? Because we sort of touched on the mindfulness a little bit when you get into a negative frame of mind, like. And I know we sort of spoke about your toolkit a little bit as well, but what do you do? And this is sort of a selfish way of looking at things as well, but like when you realize you're in a position like that, I know we can talk about just being positive straight away, but when so many people rely on you, whether it's family or whether it's at a football club in particular, if you're the leader and you're under siege, sometimes it's a bit harder than to just go, actually, I'm gonna be positive.
Yeah.
So I'm so interested in like the thought process. Like, did you need a couple of days away from things where you were like processing, fuck this shit, like I don't want to deal with this crap? Or did you just, is it innate that you just got on with things and you were super positive about it?
Yeah, through that, early in that period, I actually fucked off up to the Barmer Forest where you got no reception, and Kate and I went up there with her family, like water skiing on the river. I was just going for like 15K runs, just like literally just whatever, just getting shit out of my head, get up in the morning. And I spent a couple of weeks up there, literally didn't speak to a soul. And that was like the most cleansing thing ever, just to process everything. And then come back into the real world and things are chaotic and whatever. But I found if I didn't do that, I would have just gone down a rabbit hole and, you know, it would have been a fucking way harder little period. So I think it was that initial like, righto, I'm just going to get away here right now. After we'd tried to bond everyone together as a group and decide what we're doing, guys went home, etc. And I got out of there and then came back and I was all right, I can crack on with things now. And it shifted pretty quick from there. But
Do you reckon you lent on that? You know, you mentioned 22 being a really tough gig that year for you personally. I think you had a few injuries, in and out playing, copped a bit of heat in the media and about form and whatnot as well. So do you think you were able to lean on that past experience, or was that a whole different kettle of fish?
No, it certainly ties in. Absolutely ties in, because it's like shit like that and you know, going through poor form and copping heat and whatever. It's like that's part and parcel of footy, and I accept that. And you know, it absolutely gets at you at times, no doubt. But I think I've got, you know, enough awareness and enough experience through those periods to be able to handle that okay, and just awesome support crew around me that I can lean on. But yeah, the times like that, the more challenging periods of your life that you do go through, there is something subconsciously, whether that comes up, you know, where you mean to bring it up and just lean on that, or it's subconsciously there, and the resilience that you've learned and the ability just to bunker down and get through challenging periods are just going to hold you in really good stead for moments like that, you know, 22 season. But yeah, and then just utilizing that entire bloody toolkit that you spoke about, that you need to be, you know, really conscious of honing that craft. Really, it's a whole different craft, isn't it?
Yeah.
To be able to just have a really clear frame of mind and, you know, make decisions not from a really emotional space, to be able to just find that clarity, you know, within yourself and just don't get so hyped up and wound up from it all, because it can just cascade and spiral the other way.
On your toolkit, just to drill down into it a little bit further, only because this is definitely an issue that I find myself butting up against quite often. There's obviously 1,000,001 different ways to go about mindfulness and to go about goal setting and just to roll through, basically. And finding, you know, the things that work for you, like it's an awesome feeling when you stumble across like, oh, I love this little mindfulness practice. And I'm like, I love this one. That's going in the toolkit. That's great. I find myself, I don't know if it's just like attention or like what my issue is, but of slipping in and out of these really, really good habits. And often I'll put that down to like finding some other new thing that I'm like, oh, I want to try this for a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little sample board of like all these different positive habits and stuff. And I find maybe to my detriment, that's kind of how I handle it. And I don't really like get a chance to really drill into something and see, you know, like the benefits of it over a long-term sort of period. Maybe with the exception of journaling. That's probably my only one that I'm like pretty solid on. Is within your sort of experience, have like the stuff that you found that works, have you really kind of stayed true to that? Or with all this inner work that you're doing, are you kind of out there looking at different things? Because I know like in a weird way, I think people can kind of get addicted to self-help.
Yeah,
in a
for
weird
sure.
way. Like,
No,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You can really get caught up in like, oh, well, if I'm not reading this book, then I'm missing out on all these amazing resources. And then I'm like setting myself further back than what I mean. And it's like, if you actually did every single positive habit out there, it would take every minute of your life.
Yeah.
And you would actually get no time getting anything done.
That's it. No, and look, and some people are just really emotionally intelligent. Like Kate, she wouldn't need any of the stuff that I do. She can just process things really quickly.
Yeah.
Just super in tune with what's going on, and like I've learned a lot from her that way. But she does stuff all in terms of meditation and things like that.
Yeah.
She's just sort of naturally that's inclined that way. But I've had to really hone things. So. But I'm all for trying different stuff. I love having a crack and finding new little ways. But I've certainly honed a bit of particularly a morning routine just to set my days up. Where as soon as I wake up, I'll either meditate or do a form of breath work through an app. I found this app called Othership. It's a dope little app, breathwork app, and it's wicked because usually I battled to do breath work at home by myself. There's shout out to the Breath House in. Just off Chapel Street, South Yarra.
Friends of the team.
They're elite. So I've been going there quite regularly. But anyway, morning routine, usually a bit of meditation, only 10, 15 minutes. And then I'll either jump in the beach or I've rigged up a chest freezer. Icy in the backyard.
Tell you what, the
in the
second-hand market on chest freezers, the
it'd be
Facebook
huge.
marketplace on busted chest freezers is through the fucking roof in the last
Yeah, they
12
went hot
months.
for a while, but I've managed to stick to it. So I find it is just a habit now. And find that it really does just put you in a really clear, happy frame of mind to kick the day off. And Kate and I, we get up quite early so we can start our days nice and slow. And we'll always have a cook up together in the morning. We've been cooking the same brekkie for about fucking 6 years, I reckon. Scrambled eggs and avo and Merida Scotch cheese has to be.
Merida
Nice.
Scotch.
Cost an arm and a
that's
leg,
good.
but anyway. And then walk the dogs, and then you're into your day. So it sort of just sets me day up nice and easy, just not too rushed, not too chaotic. It's just nice and cruisy little morn, and away we go.
I think it's when you win it. I think that's when you win your day. It's in the morning.
Yeah, get it done.
God, my morning.
It's amazing. We probably get a natural, thinking about it a bit more, we probably get a natural mindfulness practice with the amount of running we do as well. Like I find for me, if I'm battling, I just need to get in, like get with the boys, run, like have lunch with the lads, and like just about every problem I've ever had is solved.
It's a great shout.
It's unbelievable. And
Yeah,
it's such, like, I feel like players, when they leave the industry, especially if they aren't as emotionally intelligent as, well, probably what Dyson is, like, you get out of it and you don't understand what you're missing.
Yeah, mate.
true.
So we're due back at the club next week. Tuesday morning, we had this little cross-training thing at the club. I had this real weird moment throughout that session. I was like, I won't get to do this soon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like,
terrifying.
It was like the middle of a fucking cross-training session where you're blowing your ass up and no one usually would want to be there. But I had this weird moment of like, this is sick. Like everyone just pumping each other up. You're just getting around the boys or ripping someone for not cracking in hard enough, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is actually elite. You know what I mean? You
Camaraderie.
get, So it's like little moments like that I love where you're like, you know, this isn't in front of fans and all that kind of shit. It's these little moments of like in the work where you're just fucking having a crack with the boys.
It's why I think run clubs are getting huge.
Yes,
and
they
stuff
are too.
Like that. But
Popping
like,
off.
It's funny. Like I speak to my psychologist like once a month or like once every 3 weeks or so, and I only realised like after I got delisted, I actually enjoy pre-season and off-season more than I enjoy the season.
Sure.
Yeah, you've said that. Yeah.
Because you're just with the boys all the time.
Yeah.
There's no pressure. Like as much as I like the pressure, there's something to be said for just like coming in Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, grinding it out. everyone's got a smile on their face, and there's no like nobody's getting butthurt about selection
Yes.
or anything like that.
All in it together.
Everyone's
and-
just having
yeah.
the time of their life. The coaches are your best mates. Like
Yeah, it's a
it
good
is
shout.
Yeah.
bliss, football bliss.
Do you know what? On clearly
I
not.
don't
on the
reckon
same
everyone
level.
views it that way, but that's I do love it.
I don't know if
though.
everyone's gonna have the
I'm on
same-
board with you, man. there's a lot that absolutely
Ross the
fucking
boss is
hate
going to call you.
pre-season.
And be like, thanks, Stocks. Yeah,
Nah,
True.
you are right though, mate. I completely agree.
In the moment, it can be a bit shit.
Yeah.
Like you,
Oh yeah.
at
but
the
that's
end of some sessions,
working
you can
hard
be-
anyway, right?
I've never thought about retiring as much as pre-season.
True.
But
Oh,
I've also
dear.
never enjoyed anything like it. I think that's like being out of it as well. When I was out of it 2 years ago,
Yeah.
that 3 months was just so long.
Sure.
Because finding blokes to train with, everyone assumes you're on break for 3 months, but you're always like
Yeah.
training with the boys or like finding a way to see the boys.
Yeah.
Like you might get 2 or 3. What do you have off at the end of the season?
Yeah, I think 12 weeks nearly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
12
3
weeks, and I
months.
reckon you spend 3 of them not running.
Yeah.
Like you're on the clock,
Yeah.
even if you're in Europe or something like that. And
Yeah.
most of the boys tend to go away together.
Yeah.
But we are like stuck together.
Just can't
Yeah.
get enough.
I
It's
feel like it's a-
community. Like
yeah.
it's community. Like
It's an
that's just
interesting
so
concept.
valuable.
I feel like I was going to say before, clearly not on the same level, not a professional athlete, but you hear about men and women, but a lot in our network, a lot of guys that have grown up playing footy or basketball or cricket their whole lives and quit when they hit their 30s and that like missing something that you speak to them, they're like, oh, I'm just missing something.
Yeah.
And for me, we started playing basketball last season again, and that I hadn't played basketball for 5 years, I reckon. And that was just Thursday nights down in Frankston, and I fucking loved it. And it was, I knew 3 blokes in the team, didn't know the other 4, and I just had an absolute ball. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, Force retired again because I got knocked out playing basketball.
Oh, stiff.
Yeah,
of course,
exactly.
That's
like
nasty
classic
stuff.
me.
At elbow height.
Come on, I was like, I was up there. I was up there. It was this like anyway.
Yeah,
I've
love
just
that.
got this problem with getting knocked out, and probably is because I'm at elbow height for everyone. But there was just
it
one.
That was a
wasn't-
cheap shot.
It wasn't all problems that
Oh, you
season,
were there.
wasn't it?
Oh, it was all right, but we
Hey,
won't go there.
mate, brings home the flag and the fucking MVP in the grand final,
Oh,
Mr.
thanks.
Liam Murphy.
Bro,
Yeah.
Anyway,
yes.
Trying to see how many times I can say that in every podcast.
it's okay to
Drop
bring
it
up
in.
here. Actually, no, it's not because Dyson was a star basketballer.
Hey,
And
that's
you
all
brought
about
it
you
up
here, brother.
on the couch with Beck Cole, who's a bloody
Yeah.
superstar of the
Captain of the
WNBL.
Southside Flyers.
We really should have a tracker for how many times you can bring it
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
I'm not. Notice
It's up
how
here.
quickly
It's all
I am
upstairs. It's all
trying to
upstairs.
avoid this. This is for everyone. This is not me. This is you. But
Can
like
we get that cut into a reel? Thanks, Kane. Yeah, cheers, mate.
But that like whole sense of community and just like having
yeah.
having fun with 6 mates on a Thursday night brought so much joy to me. And then I had to make the call at the end of it. I was like, all right, number 9 or 10 or 11 or 12 concussion, whatever it was,
Yeah.
it's probably time, which kills it. And it like for me right now, like the boys are messaging Thursday nights, being like, oh, we need one fill in, and I'm sitting there like,
Chomping at the
oh,
bit.
come on.
Yeah.
I can, like, half of them I actually haven't been able to, but I miss that. And even like junior footy and seniors footy, and you miss being around the club just, Tuesday, Thursday night, having a blowout, and then Saturday playing a game of footy for 2 hours with your mates.
True.
Obviously, no comparison to the level of connection, but like,
It's the
Wasn't
same
re-
thing.
yeah,
it's,
it wasn't
it's the same
really-
community though. Like you're in that community, you got that camaraderie with people. Pre-season down at St Bede's was a lot different. We used to run laps of the St Bede's Oval and go to the Edgy afterwards, but
Yeah.
a little bit different. But yeah,
I just didn't do preseason. I just met them at the Edgy afterwards.
What
Had
time
that
we
down,
finished?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The thing I find
Depends how
amazing
quick
about
we
things
run.
like that, though, is we never have conversations about like how much we enjoy it with each other.
Yeah.
Like I'll have a conversation with you guys about it.
Yeah.
But like sometimes when I talk to the boys about how much I love spending time with them, they get a bit weird with me.
It's true.
yeah.
But and this is like sort of the antithesis of why we're doing these conversations.
sure,
Is like
for sure.
we don't talk about this stuff ever.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure maybe now that you're a bit more self-aware of it, but like I'm sure initially you weren't having conversations about like I just need a group activity to do that's not with my partner. Like I love my girlfriend to bits, but I can't do everything with her.
yeah.
yeah,
Like I need something to do with my
Yeah.
mates so that I keep that social network going and I keep that, I don't know, social activity. But we never have that conversation about how much we need it, particularly
Yeah.
as men.
Yeah.
And we're
Yeah.
so willing, like I fully expect when my career ends, like when I finished up with Carlton, I've barely seen those blokes again. And I regret it. But I just was not man enough to say, oh, we should, go and have a run together. I was just embarrassed about getting dumped.
Sure.
But like, I feel like it'd be the same thing when my career ends, where I'm like, fuck, I'm done. Like, I can't bother these boys anymore. I've got to find a new group.
Mates. Yeah.
But that's incredibly difficult in this day and age.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And especially, I think, like I mentioned it earlier again, but when you get into your mid-20s and 30s for us, loneliness becomes a thing. And it's something that hit home with me last year and or earlier, I can't remember, last year really resonated with me about like the feelings of loneliness and trying to make new friends outside of school or university or club.
Yeah.
Like it takes a lot of guts as an adult to put yourself out there to make a new friend. Yeah. And it is something it's an interesting concept from both of you guys' perspective to have, 20 of your best mates or whatever it is there every single day of your life. And then all of a sudden, you're still mates with them, but you're not allowed to come into the club every single day of your life anymore. Yeah. When I don't know the rules, but
yeah, might find myself still fucking just sneaking in.
Keep the key card.
Yeah,
Keep
rub
the
on today.
The perks of life membership, though.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, sorry. Allowed to
I
come in.
certainly can't waltz into Icon Park.
Oh, there we go.
No one's bouncing Dyson Heppel over with you, mate.
Allowed was probably the wrong word.
Yeah.
Might have Bossy give me a kick up the arse.
Mr. Boss to you.
Oh, shit.
Mr. Boss.
No, that's cool. It's an interesting perspective, though, but for sure. And that's the stereotype, I guess, of men is, you got your mates and then that's that. You're tough. You're all good. You'll be right. And, the stereotype of women, unfortunately, like the comparison to women is, it's like, oh, you need your friends. You go and, it used to be, you go and do the girly things, go get nails, whatever it is. But obviously it's not the case. But for men, it's always had that like, oh, you'll be right, mate. Come on. So it is cool. I like, it's an important part of this.
I think that's another question I had for you being a leader as well. Like, we're in a day and age now where mental health is so prevalent, particularly, well, not particularly in footballers, but particularly in our age demographic. And when you are a leader, like there are difficult conversations you need to have sometimes, and it can be a lonely place, particularly without success. But when you're dealing with guys that you need to have difficult conversations with, and like you spoke about earlier, like not knowing what's going on in their life, like how you approach that and how you start a conversation that you need to have, you don't particularly want to have, and whether that can be with a coach or whatever else. But I'm really interested to understand, because I know my mindset with it is often to just bite the bullet, but sometimes you never get the effect.
Sure. Yeah, it's a bloody tough one, because a lot of my feedback was you need to be more demanding. You need to be more assertive and aggressive, from the boy. This was the feedback to me. And tried it. Just did not feel authentic and natural, just being that berater, that, it just didn't, it just come across unnatural. And what I soon found, I was like, okay, my authentic leadership is more from a really caring and understanding point of view. So from that point onwards, I would always just lean in with a question first around how they're going. And soon enough, when you just have a conversation, you get something out of them that they will just give you exactly what you were after anyway.
Yeah.
And if it is a point where it does need to be more straight to the line, I still try and approach those situations talking about the energy that you carry and your feelings and your thoughts and your actions, the person that you're being. If you rock up to those conversations with still a really good energy about yourself, not going, righto, I'm going to fucking smash him here. This is going, righto. You come in with a bit of love and care for the guy, but you can still be firm, and you'll find the space that you just hold there, it will directly reflect back, and they will just soften and give you a response that is, brings you closer together, and just making sure that you follow up with them in the coming days or whatever it may be. It's amazing how that can make a massive shift. Instead of being hostile and, like aggressive, if you can still be really demanding without being, down the throat and holding that energy,
Like the compliment sandwich, the care sandwich.
Yeah, it's just bloody
hug, punch, hug.
Yeah, and it's also it is knowing what blokes need as well. It's knowing your teammates. But
for you as a leader, if you look at yourself as a leader at the club, are you? I mean, you've probably answered this because you've said to us a lot that you're pretty blunt in the way you communicate and you're firm. Do you think if you were asked or told to give feedback to someone, do you go with a caring approach, or are you more of a just here it is?
I think I'm more caring now. I was very blunt when I started. I was probably pretending to be someone I wasn't though when I started. Like the way I came in through the live trade and the first one ever. And like I knew for the whole year that Matt Rowell was like he was my equal, and he was going to be like, well, I assumed at the time he's going to be a better player than me, so I got to get my skates on. And I think I came in with Walshy. Walshy's a unicorn. Like the kid, his first pracky match, he had like 30, and I played 3 minutes or something. I was like, oh, I'm a fair way off here. But from that moment onwards, I reckon I was like, I've got to be arrogant. I've got to put on this bravado. I've got to be strong, tough. Mental health is not a thing for me. It cannot be. And then after the COVID season, I got better at being myself, but I still wasn't better at, particularly when we talk about the space we create when we're having conversations. I was still really poor at that. So I was like, I needed a conversation like this, so you need a conversation like this. And the way I told my story was advice giving, not this is what worked for me. It probably will be something different for you that'll work. You don't have to do it exactly the same way as me. And I was far less accepting of other people's experiences. Fast forward to getting delisted, and I sort of changed the way I do my public speaking and changed the way I speak about my story to it being more of a, this is my singular experience. It won't be yours. You can take what you like from it, but I'm not going to give you advice. I think that changed the way I'm still more blunt, I think, than caring. But a lot of the times I think I create the relationships before I need to be blunt. And the fact of the matter is I'm not really a leader at the football club yet. Like I'm a year in. I came off being a train on. Like when you're a train on, for all intents and purposes, you can do whatever the fuck you want. Like Ross, I had a license kind of to just run through blokes. Like Ross came in and I was pretty blunt in meetings, like because I knew that was going to look different. Like I was competing for a list spot. It's a bit different to feel like when you're on the list, you're not competing for a spot on the list. You're competing for a spot in the 22. I was just trying to get another contract. So I was being as blunt as possible. And then once I actually started building my relationships out, I was able to have much better conversations with people about it. And I think last year is probably the greatest year I've had in terms of my leadership development. But it's because I was surrounded by people like Jack Sinclair, Tim Membry, like these guys that aren't conventional leaders. But I'd been so exposed to like Stix Kernahan and like Steve Silvani, like these guys who were just eternal gods at Carlton, but they all did it the same way.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the expectation. Like you look at Crip.
Yeah.
Crip's this big hulking 195 centimetre bloke, tough as nails. And like, I think that was just the assumption. That's what I had to be for a while.
Sure.
Which was kind of the same when I was 16, 17, 18 as well. Like you look at these poster boys for the AFL and they're shredded, 6'4" and never talk about their feelings. Like I feel like that's how I thought I had to be for a while. And getting into it, like you don't really have to talk about your feelings that much, but I feel like with my teammates and stuff, I'm just much more vocal about how I'm going. It makes you seem a bit more human, and then you open up conversations with other people, which I would have never had otherwise. Particularly if I left the industry, I would never ever have started talking to people so openly about how I'm going. But I think that's what's made me a better leader, is being a bit more vulnerable with people first and being a bit more forthright. So it's still blunt to a degree. And I think it's probably a direction you've taken as well, where you don't technically overshare, but you share a bit more than maybe you need to initially just to create that space. I think that's sort of what I've learned the hard way maybe, but it pays you back like 100 times over when you have a follow-up conversation because you've already built that level of trust. I don't know if it's never been a goal of mine to be a captain or really be in a leadership group. I think like I'm pretty high octane. I don't know if I'd function that well. Like we talk about guys who would be better with the captaincy. I think I'd be probably worse with the captaincy or a leadership position. I think I'd probably just function better in my own little cocoon. But yeah, I think gaining a greater understanding of particularly that space that you create when you have a conversation like that has opened up so many more avenues to being a leader. Just maybe not the conventional, skipper or really inspirational leader like probably what you ended up building into.
Thanks, mate. Very well
Very
said.
inspirational.
No, very
done.
well said,
Yeah.
mate. Bloody oath.
100%.
That's a fair call. You don't like we say it at school, like you don't need a badge to be a leader. Like you can be a leader in your
Yeah.
own capacity sort of thing. So that might be your leadership skills
Yeah.
is I do it this way. It works for me.
Mm.
If you think that that's going to work for you,
Yeah.
I can lead by trying to show you how I do things. And if it works for you, fantastic.
Mm.
But
I think I probably just exhaust my bandwidth at times, like on myself. And like, we had a site come in, I think it was last year or the year before, talking about like how many words the normal person like shoots through their head in a minute. It was like 4,000 or something. And I was like, fuck, mate, I'm running at like 20,000. I haven't got
Double
time
that
for this.
minimum.
Like, I'm absolutely worn out by the end of the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is interesting. I always thought, like growing up in that 16, 17, 18s, when you're at TAC Cup especially, you just look at like, and you always get compared to like, whether for right or wrong, you always get compared to like the top few in the league.
True.
Like I remember my comparison once was Dustin Martin. I was like, I'm nowhere near Dustin Martin. This is like when he was winning Brownlows and stuff. And I was like, nah,
Perfect.
setting me up to fail.
Yeah.
And then I
How's that
reckon,
pressure?
2 years in, I got compared to someone like completely different. Like it was a small defender. I can't remember who it was. And I was like, geez, that's a fall from grace. Like to go from Dusty into that. But it was the same with my leadership. Like
yeah.
when you go into it, particularly when we were at Sandy, because I was with like Max and Ben King, and you sort of go through with like the elite of the elite, and they're the people you gravitate to at draft combine and everything like that. And you see some of those leaders go through, like Walshy, for example. Like he was just day dot, knew who he was, had it all figured out, and I'm sure he's had challenges along the way, but he was just like so switched on emotionally, knew the environment he was coming into, and he was just a great leader, like without saying anything. Whereas I was just so much more immature in my skills for that kind of thing.
It's amazing throughout my time, and particularly now, the confidence that draftees are coming in with.
Oh,
Like and
blows
seems
me
so,
away.
just seems so self-assured in who they are as people. I don't know whether they're doing something different during school or whatever this demographic is, but they are just so confident within themselves, and I love it. It's like bring your strengths, bring who you are to the fore, and they're more than comfortable just to express who they are, which is great.
Yeah, there's no longer a time period that it takes to get to know some of these boys. Like, it's just like, that's who you are.
Yeah, for
Fair
sure.
enough. And they're done. Like, Mateus Philippou, I reckon 2 days in, I was like,
Yeah.
brilliant.
Well, I
Fair
remember
enough.
seeing media of him like walking in the club, speaking to Lenny Hayes, and just being like, "Oh, I remember that mark you took. That goal you kicked. Like that was awesome.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you." And then just like brushing him off.
He's just, mate,
Whoa, you can't do that to Lenny.
he's
So
so
good.
authentic.
Yeah,
Like,
he's
he's
You
great.
love that though, don't you? You
Yeah.
just
yeah,
like-
But-
no, it's cool.
I'd love to know what they're doing, like how they've got that figured out. Because fuck knows I had no idea.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Fuck.
That's
like-
why I'm scared of teaching high school now because they're more confident than.
Well, I suspect, like, this is something else I wanted to talk about. Is like, I feel like you've sort of bridged over a little generational gap, particularly in football spheres, where we've gone from a real hierarchical format of the list to sort of everyone being on a more even kilter.
No doubt. No doubt.
And I'd like to know from someone who's sort of been in the system for that change, what you think changed it.
Yeah.
Like, was it a system and a way a list was run, or was it just you've got draftees coming in that are better than almost your whole list?
That's a great call. I've never really thought about whether there was a real like what the moment was or where that phase was. But I do recall, like early in my career, I remember older guys at the club verbally telling guys to stay in their box until they earn the respect to speak up.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I was like, "What fucking? How are we going here?"
what,
Like,
am I
and,
the
but it's sort
SAS?
of like,
Like-
well, that's
That's normal.
That's
yeah.
normal, and that's the culture that they come off the back of, and that's all they
Yeah,
know. That was normal. And then
Respect, yeah.
I don't know, it sort of hit that phase when I feel like a lot of coaches were doing different work with mentors and leadership coaches, and they they sort of created this environment that it was, you know, everyone's on an even keel here, and the language started shifting to that being your authentic self and embracing who you are, and you know, throughout those 2017, 18 onwards, it was sort of a real changing of the guard in that aspect, and on that part of when I did take over the captaincy, one of the biggest things from my end was having anyone that plays under my leadership feels really comfortable, feels like they belong, and can feel really safe to be themselves. You know, that was something that I really wanted to bring and continue to try and foster at the club. But yeah, it's a completely different environment to what we came in at. Yeah,
It's cool. I want to press pause on some footy chat. I want to talk about personal life for a little bit, because it's obviously long time since we've caught up, and there's been a lot in your personal life that has come about as well. And recently got engaged to Kate, which was pretty cool to see. So I'd love to maybe jump on that side of things, because you guys have been together since high school.
Fuck,
And
jeez.
is that right? Like you guys,
Yeah,
And
since high
I get
school.
I get that feeling, because Amy and I were together for 13 or 14 years before I popped the question.
Yeah.
So I want to hear about you and the pressure. Did you cop any pressure on that side?
Mate,
And then,
we'd gone too long that the pressure had fucking subsided.
Yeah,
so
it fizzles, hey.
no one cared.
Everyone had given up
No,
hope.
it was just
Give
like
up, yeah.
fucking righto. So yeah,
fizzles,
13
push it on to
years.
someone else.
And then we got engaged nearly 12 months ago. It was, December last year. And then we're waiting another couple of years till we get married. So it's just fucking drag it out. But unreal. Like it's been some of the funnest, one of the funnest 12-month periods of my life with footy and just the way things are panning out. And, probably our relationship hasn't been stronger with Kate. And even just friendship group and things like that. You get to a phase now where, it's different. Mates are having kids, these type of things where, might not catch up with them as much, but when you do, it's unreal. Like I know I've made a purposeful effort to keep in touch, make sure I'm checking in, going back home as much as I can to catch up with them, and things like that. But yeah, man, outside of footy, I feel like I'm just in a nice little rhythm at the moment. Yeah.
No, I think it's kind of teed up maybe inside footy as well, that, I think outside of footy, when you're in a good space and things are happy and you're buzzing around and catching up and keeping in touch with your mates, all that is going to come into your work.
Yep.
It's the same with any job.
Yep.
I feel if you're in a good balanced place and vice versa, if you're having a shit time at work, it's going to fizzle into personal life at some stage as well. So all these little positives that are happening outside of footy and will reflect, and it obviously did reflect. You spoke about how good of a year you had, how enjoyable of a year you had at work as well. I want to talk about the engagement, like how you did it. I want to ask this stuff, because this is all like I love this shit.
I'll give you
I love
quick
this
synopsis.
Stuff. Yeah, the quick breakdown.
Quick breakdown. Actually, randomly, when we were in Byron Bay, a punter came up to us lovely couple, came up to us at the a restaurant we were at having dinner, and she happened to be a jewellery maker.
Handy.
When Kate went to the toilet, she gave me a card, and then they were just a local crew, Port Fairy, and then so I hit her up not long after and got a custom ring done, which I sort of knew what she'd like, and away we went from there. So they absolutely nailed the ring, and then I'd sort of teed Kate up to make it. It was her idea that we were going down to the beach for a sunrise brekkie when we were back home at our favourite beach growing up, and got my little brother Azza and his wife Phoebe involved, and they were on the beach with us. And then I was cruising, no dramas, until we got down to the beach, had this cracking morning, perfect, and then teed it all up where I had a mate down there with his drone, but he'd been on the piss the night before, couldn't get the drone going, and he was down there, but fucking couldn't get the thing to fly. So I was like, nah, and I was getting way too
threw
nervous.
it up there with the frisbee.
Literally, I was like, fuck this, I'm doing it anyway. So I was like, got Kate sorted, and then like it was a crack, like the moment where I started to speak though and just crumbled. Can't even remember what I spat out. It was weird because I was cruising prior to that, and then fell to bits. But then as soon as I dropped the knee, like this big wave in the background just like smashed off the rocks, and I got all that on vision, which was sick. And then and then she lost the plot, had no idea. So great little surprise.
Yeah,
worked a treat.
I love it because like you're beaming just talking about it, and that I think it's for me looking back on the last 12 months. I just had my 1 year anniversary of the wedding of Amy and I, and thinking about like the enjoyment it brought doing the proposal and breaking the news to family and friends. And, it's a really special moment, I think, and it's a really enjoyable period of your life that, you'll look back on really fondly. Like you had a pretty good proposal as well. I've seen that video. It
Wow,
was very
my
nice. But
plan was much more ambitious than what I ended up being because I was the same thing, man.
Yeah.
I I bought the ring and then like went into one of those ridiculous lockdowns, so I didn't see it for 6 months. I literally forgot that I had bought it. And was like, oh my God. And like the jeweler calls me, 4 months later and goes, hey, do you want this thing? I'm like, oh my God, I need to work out what am I bloody doing. And like, I wrote this thing because I was like, in my mind, I had this very like Hollywood idea of how it was going to go. I was like going to make this fucking awesome speech and be like real slick and real smooth. And it was like 4 paragraphs long and it was very profound. I'm like, this is my best work for sure. And I reckon I got fucking 10 seconds into it and just forgot everything. Bumbling mess, absolutely shit house. And somehow I got an audience of about 45 or 50 people at the little lookout where we were, all very invested
Just
in
what you
their
need.
answer.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
like, do you know what I remember? And I've told you
picked
this.
the best part, like the best place in Elwood to do it.
Most popular
private place.
Yeah,
On the
most
hill.
popular lookout in Elwood Beach. I'll never forget, right? I'm sitting there and like Lucy's 5'0", so I'm looking straight over the top of her head. And there's a bloke, he's wearing like a singlet, he's got his Melbourne Storm shorts on and his pluggers. He's got a can of Coke and he's just sipping the Coke and he's looking me dead in the eyes, just going,
Get it done.
and I'm like, it's all I remember out of the whole thing.
Yeah, fuck off, mate.
Like, give me an each, bro. Like, she hasn't said yes yet.
Oh, it's
It's
gold.
wild. But it's so fun. It's a
Yeah.
scary thing, but
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, exciting.
It's a cool
Yeah.
thing, I think. And she had no idea, you said?
Hey?
Kate
Yeah, she
was-
had no idea.
Yeah, well
No
done.
idea. Yeah.
Well done.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Worked a treat.
Very
Good
good.
fun.
No, that's cool. Is there anything else you want to touch on?
I want
Yeah.
to know
Yeah.
what your life looks like after footy. I know.
Well, this is something, because you spoke about moving to Byron, which you just brought up, endurance events.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Fair
like,
call, yeah.
from not just a professional, but like, where do you go from? Because I know heaps of guys, the easy route is like, yeah, I'm going to coach and I'm going to,
Yep.
like, because it's pretty easy to just go local footy and make whatever you want. But yeah, I guess where do you find purpose after footy if you've thought about it already, or what interests you outside of it?
Yeah, it's a great call. I think it probably throughout, not last season, a couple of years ago, I was in a phase where it was like, it nearly became a stress about what I was going to do post footy because I'd really had no idea. And right now I sit here, I still got no idea, but I sit really comfortable with that. You know, I'm like, I'm way more excited about what is to come post footy and the opportunities that it's awesome that I can literally do whatever, you know, it's like create whatever I want and talk about that, like the coaching aspect. There's opportunities there, but at the same time, I really want to try and exit the footy bubble for a period, whether it's 12 months going, Kate and I would love to travel, go and explore overseas, do whatever, and then come back. And I feel throughout that period that, you know, I'll end up navigating that in due course. You know, I don't know exactly what that will be full time. We've got a couple little projects on the go with, little H-Man, little Harrison.
Yeah.
So Kate and I, we come up with a bit of a concept to actually come up with the idea when I was coming out of an operation, like gassed out off my mind. But Kate and
do
I,
your best work.
yeah, exactly, unreal. Little H-Man like loves his drawing and artworks and stuff. And I was like, why don't we create like a label that using all of his graphics and designs as the graphics on the garments.
Oh, wow.
And then he's
Cool.
written this huge bucket list, and it's a fucking pisser, the stuff that he wants to do. And I was like, the funds will go towards just allowing him to live this unbelievable life. But yeah, he's got some cool shit on there. He wants, sing a song with Ed Sheeran, meet Messi and Ronaldo, all this kind of shit.
Yeah, aim high.
Yeah,
I
Three
love
tickets.
it.
drive a
That's good.
Lambo, get a tattoo. He's just got a random one, just surprise mum and dad. He's got all these
Nice.
wicked
Yeah.
list
Yeah.
of stuff. And I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
that'd be sick. So Kate and I, we're in the process of that. He's drawn the logos, everything. So everything's his designs.
So good.
So working through that, and hopefully we'll launch that next year, which will be a passion project. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Kate will pretty much help run it. She'll look after that. But that'll be a sick one. And then just as we go, mate, I'm like, I sit here more excited about what post footy looks like rather than a worry or a stress.
Yeah. It's a great way to get to, because I reckon even like any other, particularly when we're at uni and stuff like that, Like I know my girlfriend and a lot of my mates are getting to the end of their uni degrees, and it kind of feels like me getting what feels like nearer to the end of my career.
Yeah, sure.
And you're just like, fuck, that's getting close.
Mm.
And I've got no clue. And being uncomfortable with that is
Yeah.
like a really difficult feeling to sit with.
Yeah, for sure.
Mate, I did 3 degrees unfinished and still have no idea. I've been teaching for 8 years and still have no idea what I want to do.
exactly.
Like it,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
it's
being
not-
happy about that kind of unknown, I
Yeah.
think is
Mate,
a powerful thing.
Absolutely. And I haven't always been like that, but I've always been like, look, if you don't enjoy something, you can always change. You know, I'm all for just having a crack and giving it your best shot. If it doesn't work out, you can roll into something else. I'm all for just like having the balls to go, nah, this isn't me, and it doesn't feel right. And you'll soon find your way and navigate something that, you know, that you don't want it to feel like a chore or work. You want to do it because you actually love it and being around crew that you enjoy being around and things like that. So, yeah, who knows, man? Fuck, I might try a heap of different shit and never know, but we'll have a crack at it anyway.
I've got it like a vision of you turning into like a yogi or something.
Yogi.
Yeah.
Grow the
Up a
dreads
mountain
back.
Nice.
at
Yeah.
Byron.
in
Like,
by like a little
You may never
retreat
see me again. I'll
That's what I
just
mean,
fucking
like, you know,
disappear.
off the grid.
that year that Job disappeared and
Yeah, true.
became a barista, I feel like we might just see Dice with like the dreadlocks back.
Yeah.
Like long Twizzler beard.
Mate, up in the mountains. Yeah.
Yeah,
A soy chai
Out the
latte.
back
Fair
of
shout.
Bangalow. Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Making my
myself.
own dirty chai blend.
Oh, yes.
Love it.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Happy days.
Love it.
I do love it.
Oh, wow. Well, I don't know about the rest of the couch sitters, but feeling very, very inspired and very, very happy with this chat, Dice. It's
Yeah,
been
good work,
so
man.
nice to dive into a bunch of stuff, like just rehashing old conversations. And yeah, I mean, it's honestly very, very inspiring, the perspective and the mindset that you've got, because inside or outside of footy and for anybody in any walk of life, I think even this, the last thing you kind of touched on, is just so important that people can find that like trust in themselves to, for lack of a better term, roll the dice on something,
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah.
there's just like endless potential to be happy and to find that thing that fills you up, and, you know, the fulfillment, like you were talking about, Stocks. And yeah, that's, you know, I'm excited that you're excited. I
Thanks,
think it's
brother.
unreal.
Love it. Good, man.
That's it.
Good to catch up. Good to reminisce on some shit. And really enjoyed the chat. Bloody oath.
Big time.
100%. Anything you want to finish?
Yeah,
up with, Mr.
I'm
Murph?
gonna, on a personal note, just want to give you a bit of love, mate, because last episode that we put out has received some pretty special feedback and some pretty heartfelt responses from a lot of people, and I really wanted to just personally thank you for reaching out and checking in on me as well, mate. It was unexpected and really it was made me a bit emotional at the time. It was really nice to get a message from you and a check-in, and very grateful for the care that you showed in checking in, mate. So I wanted to thank you for that. And it was obviously a pretty tough conversation that we had not too long ago, and we touched on some pretty raw topics and some pretty hard lived experiences. So it was really special to get that check-in from you,
No,
mate.
good
So I
on you,
wanted to
mate.
Thank you.
No, not a drama. And it is inspiring, the vulnerability that you're willing to go to. And you know, I think it's just so important that we share conversations like that. So love what you boys are doing. It's unreal. So
There
keep
you go.
cracking in.
Good man.
Good work.
On your dice. Well, 2 down, many, many more to go.
Beautiful.
I say. Lots more conversations in the tank, I reckon. Stocks, thank you, good sir. Absolute
Yeah,
pleasure to
Stocks
have
is
you on
natural
board
at this,
for
brother.
one.
Hey?
Just
Thanks,
settled
mate.
Yeah, he's
right
got a
in
little,
there.
he's got a
he's
little rhythm, mate. He's got a
happy
bit of
with it.
groove.
Thanking
Ah,
you.
very good.
That groove on that couch
It's
is
already
starting to look a bit
embedded,
familiar
yeah.
as well. Exactly.
It's my spot. Give it back.
Oh, I love it.
How good.
Beauty.
All right, well, for everybody watching and listening, we hope you've enjoyed our chat with Mr. Dyson Heppel. What an absolute gem. This is the Mental Words podcast, where the little conversations can make the biggest differences. This is the Men of Words podcast, where the little conversations can make the biggest differences.